Welcome back. Egyptian billionaire Naguib Sawiris has put his interest in investing in OISA on hold because of infighting and a lack of decision-making at a debt-laden Brazilian mobile carrier. Sawiris would consider an investment via Orascom TMT Holdings SAE, the carrier he controls, should creditors and shareholders of Rio de Janeiro-based OI settle their disputes. OI, which filed last year for Brazil's biggest ever bankruptcy protection to restructure 65 billion reals, that's about $20 billion of debt, has delayed putting a creditor plan to a vote several times this year. In December, Orascom had offered a debt for equity swap and a capital injection of up to $1.25 billion into Brazil's number 4 wireless carrier, conditioned to an agreement with creditors. OI's largest creditor groups reaffirmed their commitment to an alternative debt restructuring plan this week after pushing back against a proposal from the company's management that called for an 8 billion real capital injection and debt for equity exchange. And the European Union is indicating interest in Nigeria's information and communications technology sector, hoping to enhance the inclusive growth in Africa's largest economy's ICT market. The EU ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Ketil Kelson, tells Channel's business producer Temple Ashaju in an interview how the interest depends on the adoption of EU's economic partnership agreement by Nigeria.
The point is to have a strategy that brings all the different stakeholders together in a common strategy. I think that is the idea of identifying value chains and making sure that we are competitive vis-a-vis other international players. So I've seen here, visiting Lagos, some very successful stories about how this can boom very quickly. And I think there are some lower hanging fruits in that sense. But if we want to benefit from this long term, then we all need to invest in having the right skills. There was talk today of an ICT investment facility, ICT universities, new opportunities for youth. I've heard young people here at our business forum stressing something that is very important. Nobody is better placed than young Nigerians to analyze what is needed for young Nigerians. Nobody understands the cultural context better than the young Nigerians themselves. But I would even look beyond that and look at the opportunity to have the ambition that Nigeria could be a provider for software, could be in the forefront of inventing the next generation of solutions. And I think that's exactly the spirit of the collaboration between Europe and Nigeria that we would want to have. An equal partnership where we learn from each other, we trade from each other. Sometimes you buy our products, sometimes we buy yours. And that also goes within the ICT sector, but looking beyond that, agriculture and others. And meanwhile, as state and federal entities, as international organizations, we need to do everything possible to have the necessary conducive environments, to have the necessary transparency, to invest in education, to make sure that we have rule of law, legal security for international investors. And that comes hand in hand with the issue of the economic partnership agreement. And of course, our hope and desire that at some point we can reach agreement of that kind of trade agreements between Nigeria and Europe, because we believe that it would help to diversify further the production here. We believe that it would help the ICT sector also in particular, but a number of other sectors too.
Now you talked about the economic partnership agreement. Is the discourse around this EPA now beginning to change? Is the EU looking at, amending certain clauses in the document enough to suit country specifics?
We are at a stage where already several countries in the region have signed up to this. We have seen benefits of these agreements in other countries, and we are convinced that this could be replicated also in Nigeria. Now, trade relations and dialogue is never static. So we always look for the next generation of talks, but at the point in time, what is on the table is the economic partnership agreement. and we are hopeful that this would somehow be able to advance in the years to come. But we appreciate that there are different opinions in Nigeria at this point in time. Hopefully we can have a debate that is enlightened and based on the facts on the table, and we are certainly ready to engage as much as Nigeria is willing to in this particular issue.
There is an allegation in Africa right now that the EU is trying to make inroad into countries that have rejected the EPA through Morocco with its proposed membership of ECOWAS.
I would not connect those two things at all. I know that there is an ongoing debate on adhesion of Morocco to ECOWAS. This is for the ECOWAS countries to decide. It is for the dialogue with Morocco. Certainly it's not for the European Union to interfere in these kind of decisions. We have our own approach to the countries. We have negotiated these during a very long period of time, and we have reached a package deal that we believe is really beneficial for both entities. It's a win-win situation as far as we are concerned, and we of course hope that we will be able all to benefit from that, because we need it, to be honest, in order to create the opportunities, in order to create those opportunities for the youth that we discussed initially, and taking into consideration population growth also. So looking at the need for having inclusive growth and more broader participation of the populations, this is a real opportunity. We have seen it work in other countries, and we are convinced that it would work very well in Nigeria too. But we appreciate, as I must reiterate again and again, that of course it's a sovereign decision. Of course it's for Nigeria to decide what Nigeria should or should not sign, just like it's the decision for the ECOWAS countries to decide whether or not new countries should become members. That is not for the EU.
Let's talk a little bit about Brexit. Everyone knows the kind of relationship that Britain enjoys with a lot of African countries. What is the thinking amongst the EU member countries at the moment vis-a-vis their relationship with these African nations?
As far as our collaboration with the UK in Nigeria, I mean, we work very closely with the UK now, of course, as an EU member state, also as a very important actor on the stage here. And I'm sure that we will continue working very closely with the UK also in the future. There are European development programs that we channel through the British Council, through other UK interlocutors, and I cannot think of a single subject or a single issue in Nigeria where there are diverging views between the UK as such and the rest of the European family. So we are working very closely together, and certainly my aspiration as EU ambassador here at a time where likely there will be some sort of result of the negotiations taking place between the UK and the rest of the 27 members of the European Union. Of course, I would want to continue engaging as actively as I possibly can with a like-minded partner such as the UK. I think together we are stronger. In a globalized world, certainly it is vital that countries stick together as much as possible. Regional integration is absolutely vital.
Well, Mr. Ketel Kausil is the new EU ambassador to Nigeria. And finally on the program, Ivory Coast is talking to French train equipment suppliers Alstom SA and Thales SA about taking part in a €1.4 billion urban railway project to be funded by France, pushing out South Korean manufacturers that were part of the deal. The West African nation is about to amend an initial 2015 concession agreement for the project with a French-South Korean consortium known as STAR, and expects to sign a fresh deal with only French companies this month. Talks will get underway with Alstom and Thales next week. And that's a wrap on the program for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm Chimezie Obi. Welcome.